Robin, we must hit Gotham City and take out the latest villain. Who are you talking about, Batman? The Joker? The Penguin? Diddy the Diddler.
Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the it is?
Aries and Andy. Jew and the Jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut, cold. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Cry, we lit.
There's levels to this before you was on your mama.
Harry Spears don't give a fuck.
We talk about race a lot, racism. Much love to my loyal bag holders.
Rollers, loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
We're here in Ontario. Big shout out to my man who came by the hotel and laced your boy up with the fresh lineup, fresh cut. Did a pretty good job, man. I can't remember his name, and he and I left his business card in my room. But big shout out to my man who laced me up with the cut. I'm sorry I'm not giving your name. That way I could help maybe put some traffic towards your business. But you know who you are.
We'll see if we can get your name somewhere on this podcast eventually. What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I'm okay.
You didn't have any. I didn't know if you had any extra tidbits that you wanted to do for this pod.
I probably could have saved it, but we had a little bit of a conversation, you and I, in the car about that thing I told you about Jordan with Drexler, and then the thing that we talked about at the 4th and Mill about me calling Eric Griffin and the Matt Rife thing. So
I don't know if that's I don't know if I want that.
No, I'm just saying
that
would have been.
Yeah, that would have been it. But I do find the Jordan thing interesting that he said Clyde Drexler.
Well, Jordan said there was one player that he felt like was as good as him, but wasn't marketable. Then he went on to say it was Clyde Drexler, and I asked you, do you really think Clyde Drexler was as good as Mike?
No, but do you think I don't? But do you think that when he faced up against Drexler gave him like the
business?
Yeah.
I didn't know until I saw the clip on social media. Yeah, there was a couple times when one-on-one, Drexler shook that ankles.
Yeah, so I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But I thought Drexler was great. I just,
But not Michael great.
Again, and this is where we had the conversation. It's the mental. You got to bring that every single game, and that mental thing that you always want to win at all costs.
But I'm more interested in what Mike, like when he said he's not as marketable. Like what in his estimation made him
Houston
not marketable?
Houston?
What do you mean?
Being in Houston?
No, you're talking about he started out with the Trailblazers.
Oh yeah,
with the Trailblazers.
Trailblazers.
And that was when he was in his prime.
Still a small market.
No, but that can't just be it. I mean, even in a small market, if your personality is there, you are marketable. Obviously you get more attention in the major markets, but if your personality is there, you are marketable.
Well, maybe like personality-wise, he didn't have that same, But see, Michael doesn't have the greatest personality either.
But
he was protected in a way where he was allowed to shine in Chicago as like the toast of the town.
Well, but his talent was so goddamn out of this world that he would. That's why he was the phenom that he was. Plus, listen, man, I said this before, and I don't give. You can say whatever you want. Pause, no homo, whatever. Dude, I was watching an interview with Michael in his Bulls days. Mike is a good look. He was a good looking, tall, bold, chocolate, sexy, jawline. Mike was a handsome man, a sexy.
You should put all that you just said into a mumble rap.
and from that standpoint, and I said that to say from that standpoint, very marketable.
Very marketable. But listen, when you're in Portland, okay, what do you think the number one thing that you are that's going to sponsor you, that's going to pay you money, that's going to... Do you know what it is?
I don't know.
It's car dealerships. That's what it is in Phoenix. I mean,
I know, but if you're marketable for real, you go outside of that. You go outside of that.
Listen, they want Ant to be the face of the league right now.
When I watched the 30 for 30 on the Chicago Bears, who was it that said it? I forget which player said it, but he was like, yeah, Walter Payton and Refrigerator Perry and those guys, they got the big deals. They got the global and the local guys like us who weren't as popular, we did the local So when you're Refrigerator Perry, when you're Walter Payton Sweetness, when you're who I forget who their quarterback was, but that crazy motherfucker. McMahon, when you're those dudes, you reach past local. Now the other guys, they weren't as big of a deal, so they did the local. So that's why I'm saying Drexler, if he was that dude, he would have went beyond Portland. But I also say this too. I forget what I was watching. It might have been the Dream Team doc, but one of the players was like, yeah, man, you go in most locker rooms, dudes are loud, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're talking about women, they're cursing. Drexler would just be at his locker with his legs crossed, reading the Wall Street Journal. That's why he probably wasn't marketable. He was that dude. He was quiet, sophisticated.
If he would have been in a major market, though, I think it would have been different. It does have a lot to. Like I was saying, Ant is supposed to be they want him to be the face of the league, but it also isn't. It isn't conducive to where he's at. Yeah, it has a lot to do with your team. I'm not saying that's the only thing. I think you could have put Jordan. I mean, I don't know. Could you put Jordan anywhere? And he, I think he could have. But
that talent was so amazing.
But no,
dude.
it was the Nike deal, and it was the fact that he had so much influence. Like he did the long shorts. Jordan did the shorts weren't long. He requested that his shorts be 3 inches longer when he got his popularity, and that changed everything.
It was
too.
style. Mike had style.
Yeah.
He had looks. His talent was phenomenal. Listen, like you said, from a person now, look, man. And this is why I love Inside the NBA on TNT so much. Shaq and Barkley, their personalities are explosive. Shaq's a big kid. Barkley's a great soundbite. It just, their personalities are amazing. Jordan doesn't have that personality like that.
No, it's him.
Yeah.
So, who's our guy in London? We can stop.
Anthony?
We can see the guy who hates us talking about sports.
Oh, just say Cork Saka.
That'll be it. That's it for the sports. Maybe we should do it with the sports report.
Big shout out to me.
Big shout out, Aries.
I did another round of Vlad TV interviews, and we opened up the first interview talking about the LeBron Stephen A. thing. And towards the end, the very end of the interview, like the last 8 seconds, I was talking about what we just kind of brushed on, which is the personalities in sports. Because I was like, listen, man, people want to give Stephen A. Like, man, you ain't no professional athlete. You ain't never played sports. How can you really speak on? And I go, well, to the flip, a lot of sports guys, when they retire, they would love to have a hand in doing what Stephen A. Smith does, a la Barkley and Shaq. But not everybody is as good as Barkley and Shaq. Some dudes, from a personality standpoint, are as boring as a dead ant. You know what I mean? So that in and of itself is a level and a talent. So when you see guys who can do that, hats off to them. And I go, because to me, Kendrick Perkins isn't, the best personality. And then I went on to do my Kendrick Perkins impression. Let me tell you something, Stephen A. Mac and Mallett. And a couple of people in the comments are like, yo, when he hit that Perkins, I fell out of my chair. He sounds fat. Let me tell you something. Stephen A. Mac and Mallett.
I never thought about sounding fat. That is definitely
Let me get that bacon with the tea.
But his enthusiasm when he's on the show, and he has this bubbly personality. It comes through. But his voice, out of everyone who's on TV, that's definitely who it is.
Yeah, his tongue seems fat. They said Mac and Mallett. Before we get off this, I gotta say, man, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's really on TikTok. I'm gonna tell you who's a funny. Because on TikTok they always have clips of athletes telling stories about certain players. Vernon Maxwell.
Oh, I've seen these.
Oh, because he curses and that little draw he has, but the way he tells stories, that is funny, man.
Dude, and he's honest. Even if it doesn't put him in the best light, he still tells the story the way it is.
Like he'll tell a story about Jordan and like kind of on him, but be complimenting the shit out of him. Like he was like, man, that Michael Jordan, man, that he the real deal, man. That he do this, he do that. That's a bad. But I remember that. Like he was talking about John Stockton. He would go, man, that's a dirty right there. But he a bad, but that's a dirty some. Oh God, Vernon Maxwell. He belongs on a goddamn. He should have a seat at that table with sportscasting.
Dude, but when we're here in Ontario right now, and Mark and I came in a day early, went to the store, just hung out, and he'd never been to the store. We went and hung out and did a few things, but we were over at Pink Cheese Tacos, which is one of my favorite taco places, right on Sunset.
Right.
And so we went over there because it was walkable and it's good tacos. So we go over and I was listening to these two Mexican dudes, like but like L.A. Mexicans, man,
Right.
and they just have a different vibe, the way that they talk.
Yeah.
And there were two, but one of the two, I was listening to him talk about football and the draft and what he wanted and how he was saying it. I looked over at Mark and Mark just goes, I forgot what he said, but then the guy got up to leave and I go, hey man, I go, you need your own podcast, dude. You need his but those people the guys that speak real, just to have that
right.
And you feel that coming on. If they started some podcasts, people would be into that because like Vernon Maxwell, you understand it, the way he talks.
It's pure guys talk.
Yes.
That's what makes it fun to watch. And no, Mark, don't change anything. Mark, do me a favor. Play that one word that says "He's a Dog" by Vernon Maxwell.
Stockton Dirty, one of the dirtiest players in the NBA ever in history. He's a dog. He's a demon. For real. Just don't look like that. And then don't believe him. Look, do this here too. Do that style there. And not that style, y'all. Stockton Dirty is one of the
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah, because he's also talking about Hornacek.
Oh, okay.
And I saw that one too when they were talking about them both because Hornacek was a Phoenix dude, and then he ended up going to get Barkley. He ended up going over to Utah and played with them. Dude, that was I like the way he just the way that he says it. Yeah, some of these guys just got together, just speaking natural.
Yeah.
And not trying to affect the camera and be like, I'm telling you, you could just listen to this all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, to the guys that have that and that passion, man, do that podcast. I
Yeah,
have so many
man.
people come up and go, man, I want to do a podcast, but I don't know what to do about it. Just be authentic and real. Whatever that is, do that.
Yeah. All right. So to the meat and potatoes. I told you we finally gonna get to it. It took us a second because, it was always kind of feeling like, okay, so we'll combine this with this to make the hour. But the things that we talked about that we were going to combine it with ended up being the hour. Didn't know it had that many legs. But here we are. Diddy the Diddler. This was, I don't know, I'm sure it's still on HBO Max. You can find it, called The Fall of Diddy. And they open up this thing where they're showing the raid on his houses in L.A. and Miami, and it's guys with military men in uniform with machine guns. And the first question I asked myself was, is this truly necessary, or are they just trying to make an example out of a rich black man? Like, come on, man. Tanks, military weapons, men in uniform, machine guns. Like, you're not taking down, a terrorist cell. It's Diddy. It's a human being.
No.
A rich mogul.
I just like how you said it, not a terror assault, but it's Diddy. But I don't know why they would have that. Number one. Number two, though, do they have some things that we don't know? Did somebody say, did an informant that they might have had say, he has weapons all over the house? And then that's just a way. Even if you have a few weapons, is that a way to intimidate someone so they don't bring out any weapons and they just surrender? I don't know either. I thought it looked
It was too much.
It was too much. But I'm just saying, is that the reasons why?
Like when you show up with tanks and military garb and machine guns and a line of men like you're about to raid the Taliban house, you're prepared for something. What were you going to think was going to pop off?
Well, but again, like I just said, if they have something, I'm not saying that he had like an arsenal, but if someone said no, he has a room and he has a bunch of like weaponry in it,
Right.
and it's the same thing. If you're on the street and you see like two cops and you think you might be able to get away, you might go for it.
Like run away?
Run away, get
Right.
away, hit one, take off. But if there's 50 of them, you're like gonna go, I'm caught.
Yeah.
So is that the idea? Is that the way to make someone in their head go, no, I'm done. Just
Surrender.
surrender.
Right.
But was there a tank in that thing? I mean, or did you just say
No,
that
no.
there was a tank?
Like one of those black look like tank type vehicles.
I sometimes I think it's a little bit too much. But you know what? If you're the police, if you're a police force, and they spend all this money on you, you got this tank, and you're in Miami. And they're going. Hey, we got this call. We got this. We want to have we want to have a force to put it. To show force so that they just surrender or whatever. And then someone goes, "Hey, man, we still got that tank."
Right.
Well, roll that out then too. I'm not saying that's what it was, but I'm just saying if you have it, I guess.
Why not?
I guess if you're one of the guys and you have it and it's your tank, you're like, "Can we bring the tank?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it was too much.
When you watch this, and I kind of, by the end of it, had the same assessment as I did with Chris Brown, which is, listen, you got to tip your hat to Diddy's powers as a person in music, in terms of what he did, what he could do, and his business acumen, but a horrible human being. I think this dude is a scumbag, man. Like when you really look at all the things he was kind of responsible for, and in some of those instances didn't take responsibility. Yo, you're a piece of shit. I think Diddy's a piece of shit.
Maybe so, but in entertainment, in business, and all those things, where on the Excel spreadsheet, where's person and good person on that Excel spreadsheet?
I don't even think is good person even on it.
No, when it's numbers, who you made famous, what you did, and every time you make someone famous, even if you were a piece of shit to the person you made famous,
You're not a piece of shit to them.
not to them. You made them famous. You changed their life. I'm just saying. I just really think that there's no accounting for being a piece of shit. If that's what it is, and people will make excuses. They'll go, well, sometimes that's what it takes to get to that next level. Sometimes you gotta you gotta run over people. You can't.
I don't know that I buy that completely. I mean, I know, life is cutthroat, the business is cutthroat, but does that mean you have to be to get there? You have to be cutthroat?
I'm not saying I have to be, and I don't know. I'm not in that business, but I'm not saying that you have to be. But I'm saying I think people will make excuses for you because they know the business is cutthroat, and that's what you have to do to get through there, and then that's what you do.
I saw Andrew Schultz was being interviewed by Shannon Sharp on Shay Shay, and Sharp brought up Joe Rogan.
There's a lot of shit in that. Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz on Shay Shay Sharp.
Sharp. There's a lot.
A lot of shit. Andrew Schultz on fucking Shay Shay with Jenny Sharp. And he brought up Joe Rogan and said, why is Joe? This was Shannon asking Andrew, why is Joe almost held to this mythical-like level amongst you guys and all his peers? And Andrew Schultz used the word benevolent. And he goes, because there's a lot of people like Joe who are in positions of power, big influencers, but they're pieces of in trying to attain power, they'll step on you. Joe's not like that. Joe, is in the powerful position he's in, and he's as big as he is, but he's legitimately a nice guy that doesn't look to be an asshole with power like most people. So that's why I'm saying, do you have to be?
No, I don't think you have to be. Like I said, I think people just assume because of when they hear it's a cutthroat business or what it is, they'll make an excuse for it.
You know, one of the many examples, and we'll touch upon a lot of them, but one of the many examples, one of the first earlier ones with Diddy was they brought up how he put on this celebrity basketball game. And there were so many people that at some point everybody couldn't get in, and the people that were outside trying to get in were getting upset. So long story short, people got killed and people got injured because people were trying to
They closed the doors.
close the door and force their way in, and people got trampled and smothered. And they said that Diddy was kind of responsible for this because he didn't take the necessary measurements to make sure certain safety things were in place. You know, he wanted this thing to be the biggest event that it could be, forcefully so. And you know, he was kind of responsible for some people getting injured, but he didn't take any responsibility for that.
I remember when that happened. But there's a couple things that happened with that, you know, and I remember it because I was around, and when that happened, a few things did occur. One, there was blame, and people blamed people for it, but they wanted. But the story also goes, he wanted the biggest event. Is there anything wrong with wanting the biggest event? And would you know how many people were going to come out and how that was going to happen? And then it was late, and that's also what made it even worse. And then people make excuses for it because hip hop is this new art form that's moving and progressing throughout the United States and then going international, and people want this, and it's black. I mean, it's this black culture movement, and so now we're going to shit on that too. There's a little bit of that pullback because you want to protect it. You want to protect it because you don't want it to be on. You don't want to be, look what happens. It happened in rock and roll a lot. There's been people killed and stabbed in rock and roll a lot, but this was new. Did you want? I'm stretching on this because I'm just asking these questions. So when that happens, and then you get some protection, and then people pull back, and then you don't get in as much trouble as you could have gotten into, don't you kind of feel like you have a little bit more wiggle room if you're not being held accountable?
You got all the wiggle room if nobody holds you accountable.
So that's how this can happen.
And it seems like the pattern becomes, if you're not being held accountable, well, until you get caught or until you face consequences, why would you not continue the reckless behavior?
Well, and you will, because the people who don't hold you accountable, who give you a pass or try to make your lane a little easier so that you don't get in as much trouble, they're beholden to you too, because they already did that for you.
Yeah.
So these people with power who help him through this, now they have to continue to help him. You just don't pull the rug out from underneath. You're there. You're one of the team.
You know, one of the things that I thought that was kind of interesting was like, damn, can you imagine if the East Coast West Coast beef never happened? How much bigger the game and the culture could have been. And in some weird, twisted way, though, it seems like it happening was kind of I hate to say a good thing, because, you know, we lost two of the greatest MCs from each coast, respectively, Biggie and Pac. But it seemed like something that tragic needed to happen for the growth of the music changing in a different direction, or the, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? The agenda being different. Like it seemed like through that tragedy, it made the game better.
Doesn't black tragedy always seem to make it makes money? I'm like, it's hard for me to agree with you in this, because I came from when before hip hop was mainstream, and when it was hip hop, and I really do have a clear difference between hip hop and a cultural movement and rap. Rap is something that was manufactured in studios, and I see the difference. And from what that was in the beginning, yes, it had occurrence of what was happening on the streets, but it was also not. It was the whole statement of one love is in there too, where and again, I've already had this conversation. One love in the hip hop origin was black people loving each other and coming together for the betterment of the culture. And that disappeared when it became rap and it got into the studio hands. And this and that East Coast, West Coast, even though it was bad for the culture, it benefited the industry. So when you say, was it necessary? Did it? And then the loss of some great artists. Is that part of it? Was it necessary? It seemed manufactured. I'm just being honest with it. It seemed manufactured from a bit. I don't want to say it was intentional, but it wasn't. They wanted the tension. They wanted
some of the record companies.
The companies wanted the business itself wanted that. They love marketing it that way.
But no matter how much they may have wanted it, we still have to put the responsibility in the artist's hands too, because no matter how bad the companies may have wanted it, the guys still did what they did. They still chose to go at each other.
Yeah, now that part, yeah, but that's also, having an argument with someone, having a little beef with someone, you can get by that on the street. You know what I mean? You can get by that. That's something you can work out or work through, or you get in a fist fight, you do that. But nationally, when you put it out there like that, doesn't that seem like it's going to cause more problems?
Yeah, because at that point, egos are out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can't disrespect me or play me like that. And if I don't respond now, I look like the punk.
So it seemed, again,
that's what I'm saying. Well, that's
manufactured,
what I'm saying. Though. Manufactured, but I can only put so much blame on the record companies because at some point, you can put the gun in my hand, but it's me that's pulling the trigger.
But when they keep putting the gun in your hand over and over and over.
But you don't have to pull the trigger.
You don't have to pull the trigger, but when you keep causing reasons to put the gun in someone's hand. Yes, the artist has to take responsibility. But it seemed like hip hop had a direction that I thought was, wow, this is amazing. And then how did it went in a different direction? Not because of one person.
Right.
It just seemed like there was an effort to get it to go in a different direction. There was nothing about black people killing each other in the early hip hop days.
Right.
And that's why I still have a problem with that. And then you keep going because I don't want to get down this old hip hop lane that doesn't go anywhere.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I wish I could have went to at least one Diddy party. And listen, here's what's interesting. I don't know if these people are lying, but I've seen so many interviews where people go, "Yeah, I went to the Diddy party." Everything that they say, the freak offs, I never saw any of that. Now, listen, that doesn't mean that. And I said, there could have been two parties. There was the one for lack of better words, the general public, and not meaning regular everyday Joes, but the celebrities and the people that attended were there for the party that's the party. But then there's the other party after that once everybody else goes home. So I don't know. But unless these celebrities are lying, they all said, yo, I never saw no freaky shit.
In these circles, and I'm comfortable saying this, and I know this, I don't know how deep it goes, but I know this for a fact. There's the party, then there's the VIP room. And what people don't understand is the VIP room is to make the people who feel that they deserve something better go to the VIP room because they don't need to be with the regulars because they're
the regulars being the successful other millionaires and actors and singers.
Yeah.
Oh,
but they're not. But
that's
they're
regular.
But they're not on that level. So we need this other VIP room. What people don't understand is after that is the inner circle, and that's the next VIP room.
And that's probably where the freak offs.
That's where the other stuff happens. That's where the other stuff happens because you pass because you're better. the structure is I'm going to invite all these people and listen. First of all, you got to understand. You just said the millionaires, billionaires that are coming to the party, the regulars. Yeah. But the regulars they bring regular people out to make the party have that vibe.
Like I'm bringing my friend.
I'm bringing these girls. Hey, do you know these girls? Bring all these girls. Right. So you have you have strays in your elite party. There's strays in there. Otherwise, the party won't go off because it's not going to happen without the strays. You got to have the strays. Right. So you got them in there. So they can't go to the VIP room.
Yeah.
And then the people when they're going to do some that's the next level. You can't have people knowing your business, so it's only a smaller group that goes to that level.
Listen, everything that I've heard in terms of, and I remember, yeah, you know what? It wasn't an official. Like when I think P Diddy party, I'm almost thinking at the crib.
The white party.
The white party. But I will say, New Year's Eve in Miami, I went to Diddy's New Year's Eve party. But this was more like the open forum where you had people paid exorbitant amounts of money to get in. And I got to tell you, man, that was off the meat rack. So that, but to a more about what you're saying, had it been on a yacht, had it been at the crib, yeah, I would love to go to a Diddy party because I know other than the freaky shit, this throws a bash. The champagne, the most expensive drinks, the Ciroc, the I'm sure hors d'oeuvres, lobster, the best of foods, best of finger foods, bad. The music is off the chain. Who wouldn't?
Everybody wanted to go to that party. There's no one, it's just that now when you say that you've been to one of those parties and you got pictures of you at the party, you're like, oh, what happened? What do you know? What did you? Right. So it changed the perspective of what was going on at those parties. But the truth is that didn't happen at the party. It happened not even at the VIP room. It happened at the VVIP room or the VVVIP room. It's not it's not what you see up front. And that's just it, though. Everyone wants to get to the VIP room. No one wants that. That's not the room anymore. It's the room past that room.
If you're at the party and you start seeing whatever the freak off is, what is it that you would have to see to make you go, I'm out? Because you don't have to participate in it.
No, a lot of people don't participate in it, but watching people do that you wouldn't do. I mean, people watch porn, right? So you're watching porn. People watch. How many people? What was it? Two girls, one cup.
With the cup. Pulling it up. That's 2 girls, 1 cup. That's what it's called.
So, I mean, everybody watched it. Everybody. I mean, lots of. I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people watched it.
I've never seen it. Never will.
Did you watch a clip of it or anything?
Nope.
How do you know what it is then?
Because I heard.
Okay, you heard it. A lot of people went on to watch that stuff.
Yeah, I can't. No.
And even if it was just for a second, because curiosity gets people, and so they went to see it.
Mark, please don't pull that up.
I'm not pulling it up. I just don't even think. I think it was all fraud. I think 2 girls, 1 cup was fake. I think it was chocolate ice cream.
Okay, but that doesn't make a difference. It's what you believe is in that cup when you're watching it anyway.
I mean, it makes a difference to me. If you told me it was ice cream and then showed it to me, and they were pretending it was shit, I know that it's.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you believe that it is,
okay.
So you're stuck with that. Ice cream melts, by the way.
I'm still doing research.
Yeah, go ahead, keep doing the research. All I'm saying is, people like things that they won't do too. They like to, what other people will do, and then if it's live and in person, people do that. I'm not saying that's normal, but if you're at the party, you've had some drinks, and this dude's gonna pipe this girl, and it's right there in front of you. Okay. And now people are yelling out request. Maybe you stay. Maybe you don't.
That wouldn't make me leave. Of seeing a dude another woman live in action, that wouldn't make me leave. What would make you leave?
Anything that was really.
Now, if I see a dude get ready to suck another, I'm out.
Anything that was, especially degradation, where you really. It's one thing when you said that suck can do another, but from what I've heard about some of this stuff, it's not just a dude sucking another. It's a dude who doesn't, and they're making him suck.
Making him?
Telling him, you want to stay at the party, you want to hang. People will do what, it's amazing. People will do things to be in the group or to get.
Especially if you're on drugs and shit, you could probably be coerced to do some.
And I'm not saying that it has anything to do with Diddy. I did hear this, and so since I don't want to get sued, so I want to make sure I'm not saying that Diddy did this. I'm just saying that the story is Diddy said what I heard was that it was said. I'm not even saying Diddy said it. A guy said there's something about making a man do something a man doesn't want to do.
Well, if somebody is making a man do something, if you're a man and you're being made to do something you don't want to do, then you're not a man.
You're having control over that man is what it's talking about. Having control over that other man. Listen, that would make me leave immediately. A girl that didn't want to do it, that's saying, I'm not doing this. And then they're like, oh yeah, well here, have some Coke and do, or, and I'm not saying that happened there either. I'm being very careful. I'm not putting any of this on any of the Diddy did parties, anybody that I know or person's house. I don't want to be part of it. I don't want it's not for me to get in trouble for this. I'm just saying anything that you force someone to do. And listen, I don't want to see a bunch of tears coming out of a girl's eye. I don't want to watch mascara run down to somebody's face. No,
that's terrible.
So anything like that, any degradation, I think I'm out. That would be the first thing that would make me leave. A dude sucking another dude. I don't need to be there for that. That ain't my thing. I don't need that. Now, what if I'm going to ask you this question? What if you're standing there and it's a girl, right? And she's agreed to sleep with a guy, and they said she doesn't know which one, and so then in the room comes like 10. You staying in the room to watch her pick which one? You staying in the room? Well, you're in a room now with 10 dudes and one girl. You staying?
Nah, I'm out.
Even though it's going to be straight consensual sex, but these
that's too override that one woman.
How much?
That's too much.
How much weight has to be in the room before you?
I don't know, but that's too much wood, nigga. We need to have more to even this out. That's too much wood.
So okay, so when the numbers change though too, when there's way more men in a room than women, that it's time to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They say that saying, money just makes you who you really are. We found out who he really is.
Yeah, if you depending on what he gets in trouble for, I'm just being careful because like I don't trust the way this works out.
Right.
And but money will make. It's not just on who you are. And I understand people say that, and I get why they're saying it. Mm-hmm. But things also like and influence. And I'm not saying he did drugs. I don't know who was doing drugs at those parties, but we know people were doing drugs. Drugs make you go further. Like doing drugs makes you want to do more drugs. Doing weird and you're on drugs makes you want to do more and weirder.
Yeah.
It's like you stopped. You said you jumped out of an airplane and that was enough for you when you were done.
Yeah.
But some people that isn't enough. Now I got to go hand gliding. Now I got to go people need to up that thrill.
For the record, I would like to jump out of a plane more often and hand glide. Listen, all that that looks dangerous, I would love to do it, but I'm too scared of death. I'm too scared of an accident. That what do they call that when they jump off a cliff in the suit and they're just gliding?
Low proximity, like wingsuit shit.
No, but there's a term for that. What that
I don't know
sport
what it
is.
but
You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about,
the
right?
Wingsuits, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do that. That looks fun as long as you don't up. You know what I mean? And one bad accident, we talking about collarbones being broken, ribs, possible death. I'm not playing with death like that.
You know why? What's interesting about that? And I'm glad.
But I would love to do that.
And I'm glad we brought it to this point where we can say this. See, all that we're talking about, hand gliding, that all happens in the day. What did your mom always tell you, or your dad, or your parent, or someone important to you says nothing good happens after 1:00 in the morning or whatever times in the morning. Like, don't be out late at night. That's when the shit's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, but people get up during the day during that.
What, hand gliding?
All of that shit.
No, I'm saying that, but I'm talking about things that you enjoy that you would go do.
Yeah.
I still go back to what I think it was an uncle that said to me, you don't get home by 2, man. Nothing good happens after 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's when this is when all this kind of stuff happens.
Something that one girl brought up in this thing, and I said this to myself as well. I'm like, I just don't get how you could be that rich, powerful, and successful and feel the need to drug people. I mean, can't you get them to do what you want just off the strength of you being you? You're Diddy. You're a mogul. You're a billionaire. You can change people's lives if they want to be in the record game. Why do you need to drug people? Or is that the drug that gets you off?
I think that's
doing that to people.
I think doing that to people because you have full control over them.
Women would line up around the block to suck for free.
You say that, but do they? When they're on drugs like that, do you have full control? They don't have any say, so you get to do. There's no, oh, I don't want to do that, or I don't. It's whatever they want to do.
I don't buy that, dude. When you are that big, when you are that influential, when you are that wealthy, and you can change someone's life literally, you don't need to drug them. They'll pretty much do what you want them to do because they know you can change their life.
Yeah, but not.
I feel like that's like being like rock stars and I bet they would have. There's probably a lot of kind of like Diddy party stuff that they did, like when they're on tour every night. And,
that just to me,
but they're gonna do drugs and do the up stuff too. They like drugs.
Well, but the Diddy thing, that's why I'm going. To me, it's, for lack of a better word, a sickness. Like there's something wrong with you. That you feel the need, like you get off on doing that. There's an evil, there's a sickness to you that you're doing something you don't need to do. If you want to get a freak off or a girl to do that, you are Diddy, man.
These are two different conversations that Mark just started, and this is why sometimes I say these things.
I think you just started a third.
No. This is the same conversation because what you talked about, those are normal things for people to be up on drugs. I'm not saying it's normal. It's normal, though, for people to be entertainers, whatever. You get up on drugs, you other girls that are up on drugs. Yeah. It's not what he's talking about is I have drugs. I'm going to get you up on drugs, and I'm going to do to you that you didn't want to do. Those are two different. Those girls who come to like an after hours at a hip hop party, and they go take drugs, and the other people are taking drugs. They know what's going to happen. This is a different story when you're being drugged to get you to do something. That's different. That's you wanting to control someone that normally not every person's going to do that. And you hear this all the time who do you want? The person who's going to do drugs with you and you every which way, or the one that doesn't want to do it? That's the one that you, for whatever reason, whatever it is inside you, goes, that I got to get that. Because that's the elusive
person that doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's the elusive one.
And there's something wrong with you for doing that.
That's the elusive one. And if you can't do it, and then
that's basically forcing somebody.
Yes, it is. But this is where there's people who will go out and actually go after that girl and try to be with her. And there's other people that will go, all I have to do is drug her, and then I can be with her.
If you don't want me, then I don't want you. If you don't want me, I don't, because it's icky to go, this don't want me, but I'm going to do what I got to do to get her. If you don't want me, then I deuces, man. I'm out.
Yeah,
that's not a good feeling.
No, you say that, but when you said that you have this life-changing money and you can put anybody in any position, and you know that every girl's there is just you to get that. And then this one girl goes, nah, that's not what I am about. All of a sudden, that girl becomes like the one that you really want.
Right.
Now, what you do to get that girl is where the problems come in.
Yeah, on this documentary, as they interview several girls, one of the girls is just bawling, she's crying, and she's describing an experience with Diddy. And I just went, listen, first of all, I'll be one of the first people to say, we know women can lie, and women do lie. But let's just say they're not lying. Anytime a woman starts crying, it's just such a bad look for you. As a man, that's almost the automatic nail in your coffin. Because the moment the tears come out, then people are going like, oh, you feel like you got to feel sympathy for this victim. Because now she is a victim and you are the victimizer. And it just is a bad look for you. And let me, like, whether it's the basketball game, whether it's the evidence that we saw with him and Cassie in the hotel hallway when he's dragging her and he kicked her, whether it's at the end of this, the male assistant who I think is gay and said that Diddy more or less forced himself upon him, whether it's the girl who said she went to the studio and she was raped on the pool table and Diddy was there when it happened, and he was part of the dudes that raped her, whether it's the girl who got shot in the face at the nightclub, with the incident when him and Shine and Jennifer Lopez and the driver who drove them away said, yeah, Diddy at one point said to me, hey man, take this gun and pretend it's yours. Shine doing time for something that really Diddy did. The girl that got shot in the face, she said, I know clearly who shot me. I saw him. It was Diddy. And they show her in the hospital, scarred up and in the hospital bed. All of these activities was why I go, Diddy's a piece of shit.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a piece of shit, dude.
But again, when you talk about being a piece of shit, do you know how many people had to be in on that to get... And I know Jennifer Lopez is, she's there, right? So now we have her crew, Diddy's crew, all the people that are trying to protect that money from both those crews.
Yeah.
There's a lot of piece of shittiness to go around in this, is what I'm saying. He doesn't get away with this without that. That one should have been over at that moment.
Right.
With that you have a gun, people saw you, witnesses. How did he get out of that? He didn't get out of it because he got lucky.
Yeah. The money and the power and the people that protect him.
So he's a piece of shit because all the people are willing to do this for him. I'm not denying his shittiness in this, but there's a lot of culpability to go around. You don't become because of one thing. You become because people prove that you can be a person. I'm going to continue to prop you up.
When you look at that footage, and it's like, that's one of those things where it's like, dude, we finally just saw it. But that's always been you.
Yeah.
You don't do that like to that degree. Like, if you get in a little argument with your woman and gets heated, look at how violent that is.
Bath towel.
Jesus. Dude, it's like one thing, and listen, I've said this before on this podcast, I'll say it again. I got into an argument with one of my baby mothers one time, and it was just so heated. I was so in the moment, and I f***ed up, and she wouldn't shut the f*** up, and she just kept pushing me, and I slapped her. I got mad. I was like, shut the bow. And I did that once. And again, I'm a 1,000 times apologetic. There's never a reason for it. But it's one thing if you get pissed and get caught in the moment and there's a slap. But when you are kicking like that, dragging, punching, kicking and dragging, that's deeper than I just caught up in a moment and there was a slap. No, that's who you are.
No, if you get caught up in the moment and there's a slap, listen, it's not excusable. But when you realize what you've just done and you already are like, oh, that's right. that shows that you were able to that you have that wasn't enough. That was you f***ed up and you know it. This, I'm going to tell you something about this that you that people have never said. I've never heard anybody say this, but I just watched it because Mark was playing the video. We can go ahead and play it for one more time. See, he grabs her. I just want to show you something that shows you what a person he is.
Hey, look at that.
No, that's not the bad part.
Oh,
that's not the bad part. I mean, it's all bad. He kicked her. He pulled her down. He knocked her out. He knocked her out. He kicked her again. He kicked her again. There's a point in there where his towel's about to fall off.
I love it.
And he puts his towel back on when he's doing this. So he has humility for himself because he doesn't want anybody to walk out and see him with his dong out in there, because that's why he made sure his towel's on. But beating the shit out of someone and leaving him on the ground and kicking him a few times, that's a problem. So like what I'm saying is, I'm not excusing anybody hitting a woman, but if you are in such, listen, we know that it can happen, that when you are pushed over, men and women hit each other. And that's when, if you do something like that and you go, oh my God, I can't even believe they took me out of who I am as my character. They didn't. You let that happen. But took him out of your character, and that happens. That's one thing. And to realize what it is and be like, I f***ed up. To beat someone and continue to beat them and then beat them some more, and then your towel's falling off, and you go, well, I can't have my towel fall off. It would have been, I honestly would have felt like this guy was in a moment of just all-out rage, and his towel fell off, and he's still kicking and beating her, and he's just spit's coming out of his mouth, and he's like, that man lost his mind. But he put his towel back on. Why would you put your towel back on? Because you realized You realize what the moment is. You realize where you are. You realize who you are.
If no one listen, but you can make the case if you realize who you are and you realize the moment. Don't you say to yourself, "Yo, I'm in a hotel where there's cameras."
Yeah, but
so why even do that?
But he's still putting his towel on. He's still kicking her. He's still punching her. Look, he's holding the towel. I don't want my towel to come off when I kick her. Look, he tightened up his towel. He realizes the whole time while he's beating her. Look, I can't have my towel fall off though.
I'm just going, but dog, don't you say to yourself, "Yo, there's cameras here."
Doesn't even care about it. That's not. He doesn't. He'll get away with it. He doesn't want his go out.
Well, maybe it's so big if his towel fell off, then
it would have grabbed it.
He was having sympathy because it would have knocked her out.
No, it was so big, it would have grabbed it and picked it up and put the towel back on. That's not what happened. I'm telling you, there's a difference between someone who is just enraged and is somewhere else and has no control over themselves, and someone who's beating someone else and goes, "Oh, I don't want my towel to fall off," and puts their towel on. That's right. You have control over yourself at that moment. You're controlling your situation. You're controlling what you're going to be perceived at as what you're looked at. You don't want anybody to come out the door or come out, open the elevator, and there you are naked. But kicking the girl and kicking her and knocking her on the ground, that's okay with you. That's where you can go, this dude is so gone. He's such his person is so gone, who he is and what he's accountable to. That's when you can see that kind of shit.
Did they at least like talk about like what did Cassie do? Like
she didn't.
What were they arguing about?
She didn't run fast enough, and I don't understand if you're Cass. And listen, I'm not. She didn't deserve that, but I'm not pushing the button and waiting for the elevator. There's stairs, man. I'm going down the stairs because I have a better chance. If he's going to run out and come try to find me and go down, do you think he's going to get on the elevator? If he put his towel back on, you think he's going to go on the elevator and go down to ground level? I don't think he is. I would have got out those stairs. And I'm only saying this because I'm in my head. I'm writing a movie, not debating on whether she did the right or wrong thing. She didn't do the wrong thing. She was scared and was trying to get out of down an elevator. But I would have went out the stairs, man.
You know, when they interviewed which is again, I think the last episode when they interviewed the gay assistant of his. You know, people they would ask, well, what did you do? Well, you know, he would call me and say, "Listen, I need you to bring me my kit," and the kit consisted of baby oil, Xanax, Cialis, marijuana, lubricant. Now, listen, they're saying all these things like, ooh, first of all, other than marijuana, and depending on where you're at, all of that is legal.
Well, the Xanax isn't even unless you have a prescription for it.
Okay. But it's not like he's going, bring me my sawed-off shotgun or, you know, all these illegal things. So, again, until we know what exactly he did, you say these things like, oh, it's the boogeyman. None of that's illegal.
Yeah, but it's a kit. And if he's keeping a kit, it's for nefarious reasons. It's not like...
He comes prepared.
He's prepared. Yeah, he's a Boy Scout.
Sounds like he's prepared to have a great time.
He's a Boy Scout. He came prepared. Listen, I go to what you're saying. I think he's had a lot of people that have participated in becoming a piece of shit. And I know that it's in you, and depending on, he's going to say his hard life coming up and record industry, all that's accountable. But you can only go so far on being that kind of person on your own. There's a lot of people who had to help him to get to that place.
No doubt. No doubt.
And I'm mad because, this has been going on for how many years do they say this has been going on now?
I mean, decades, right?
Yeah. When was that? When was the shooting where Jennifer Lopez was with him? That had to be over 15 years ago.
I don't know. Maybe. But Diddy's rise has been since the 90s.
Yeah, but I don't think he was that Diddy when he first came up.
No, I do.
You think he was that dirty?
Yes.
That dirty.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's money makes you who you are. That's who he was.
Yeah, but I don't think he was participating that way. I don't think he was that dirty at that time.
1999.
So this
December
is 26
27th.
years.
Yeah.
25 years.
At one point they said, Diddy his assistant was also like the cleanup man. So at one point, when after the shit went down, he goes, it was my job to clean basically the hotel room, dispose of the baby oil, the Astroglide, the blood and urine. I'm going, what the is happening in these hotel rooms where there's blood and urine?
Yeah. That listen, if you watch this thing and you don't really want to watch it because you're going to say it's the same thing I seen, because it's a lot of the things that they go over. But if you watch that last episode with his assistant,
Yeah.
that one really goes.
He was almost about to come to tears.
Yeah, and you watch that one, and when you hear about the things like getting his coming, cleaning up, and then he was in charge of getting things put back together because they couldn't just leave the room with the blood and
Right,
urine on it.
yeah.
They had to call.
He was the
people.
cleanup man.
or he had to get someone to fix.
Right.
So, but if you listen to him and the way he's breaking down, and the one thing I said to you is, I go, this guy said 10% of what he wants to get out, but he can't
Right.
get it out. He can't say it,
Right.
because it's breaking him even have this conversation. When I watched that, that's when I was like, this is really dark. And they don't get into the darkest stuff that other people have put out there that's happened on this, but his what was like 45 minutes, that's part 5. That's the last one. That's the one that when I went, wow, it made all that other stuff even worse.
Yeah.
Because I felt for that. I felt for that guy. Now,
Dude, between the girl that got shot, because she got shot in the face, and they showed her in the hospital laid up. Between the girl that got shot, the gay assistant, and the pool table, and then the Cassie video, I just went, Jesus, dude.
listen,
Jesus.
the pool table one is the one that one I think freaks me out the most. Only because there was nothing that gave her an idea that this was about to happen to her. Now, I listen. Getting shot in the face is obviously is horrible, and I'm not. But and it's no fault of your own. But something like that was so random that it happened to her. It wasn't like he was trying to shoot her. He just hit her.
Yeah.
So it's horrible. I'm not minimizing that. I'm saying, but it would, and it should be. He should have been held accountable for it if he's the one who did it. I'm just saying that was accidental. She was the person who unfortunately got hit. But to be the girl that thinks that you're doing the right things, you're looking at him as this mogul, and she knows your guy's working for him, and you trust that relationship. And then you go in there and then find yourself drugged and realize that what happens to her. That one, I think, to me, that's the most evil. You shoot someone in the face, yeah, you got to feel bad for it. But if you weren't trying to shoot her in the face, that isn't as evil as sending a car out, bringing someone in, drugging them without the notice, and then taping it.
Right. I forgot that part.
And keeping that
Taping it, right.
for posterity, so you can look at that anytime you want. That's a sickness. Now we're not just pieces of shit. Now we're in. That's a sickness. Now you're sick.
Right.
And that's the thing that one to me. That was the one that this isn't a party. This isn't a freak off. You actually went like on a fishing expedition. You sent out the bait. You reeled her in. She trusted you because her boy works. It was her husband or was her boyfriend? Works for the company.
Right. I can't remember.
And so you think that you're safe, and the next thing you know,
That's why I'm telling you, I think that as sick as it is, it has to be like an adrenaline rush for you to do this. Because you must be at a point where you go, look, I'm this tycoon, this mogul, I'm a billionaire. Yeah, I can have anything I want. Yeah, I can have anything I want. Yeah, I can do what I want. What is the fun in that? There's no rush there.
But then again, that's why I said that's why the one who doesn't want to you is the one that you want to go after.
That's a sickness, man.
That is.
That's a sickness, dude. And let me say this last thing. I got more notes, but we need to keep it moving. Let me say this last thing. Women, some of y'all got to take responsibility for your. Like at one point, this one girl he got with, brand new girl. This is after Cassie. This is after all the shit that's been said. The streets have been talking. And she goes, I don't know what it was that drew me to him. He asked me at one point, so what are the streets saying about me? And she told him, they say you're this, you're that, you're an abuser, and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know what drew me to him. And she ends up dating him. The money. Stop it. I hate when women do that. I don't know what drew me. It was something about he's Diddy. So, and I went, the guy's a billionaire. If he was broke and didn't have the fame, the billionaire status, the power and the influence, all the empathy in the world would make you see him. Knowing he's a rapist and an abuser, but what you saw was the money. To know all of that, he asked you, what is the street saying? And you told him. So to know he's an abuser, he's a rapist, he's this, he's that, and you still with him, that's because what you're doing is going, yo, this is a human lotto ticket. If I play the cards right, my life can change. So all that other shit, you know, all of what he did to them, I'm going to hope he don't do it to me so I can come up. I just wish women would be honest sometimes and cut the.
You feel like when Diddy hears that, like hears like everyone talk like he's an abuser like that, he's like he even kind of gets off on that. Like, yeah, well, badass.
He knows what he's done.
Yeah,
I think when you're getting away with it, yeah, you have to be like, yeah, and they let me do it. There has to be. I listen, and I'm not giving him a pass on this for what I'm about to say, and I'm not putting this on women, but I will say, if there's a lot of women that are willing to go and do those things, and your person that is your character is questionable, when does the line get blurred? And what I mean by that is, don't you just assume that all women are like this at some point when your character is like that? That like you can do what you want because all these women have proved to me that you can do this.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying when your character's, I think there's there's some miswiring in some people's heads. And when you have people saying to you, no, you could do this to me. You can do what you want to me. Then you just assume that you can get away with it with everybody. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying I think there's some bad wiring.
yeah. Okay.
Anything else? Mark, you got anything? You got a closing?
did like you're talking about like lined up, like were they all like, was a Diddy party like everybody's in a room together, or was it like they got a mansion, there's separate rooms? Was bad happening every time, or was it just like every once in a while it popped up? Was it just mostly just drugs and sex? Like, is this like an overrepresented telling of the story of these Diddy parties?
I think obviously you're going to hear about the worst that happened.
You know, listen, if it's one person saying something, you know, that stuff, you know, until we find out what it is, that's questionable. But when it's so many people saying the same thing, they're all lying? They're all lying? Everybody's just lying?
The one that's hard for me is what's the Family Guy? Not Family Guy.
Family Matters?
Family Matters.
The one that played the father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That story. I'm not even going to say the story.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if that's true, and that's at a Diddy party, and I found out about that, I don't want to go to any of the Diddy parties.
I bet the shrimp tempura there was amazing, though.
Yeah, but you got to think about that, though, too. You're the caterer. You're catering the party. You're at Diddy's party. You think you're in a great party, and all of a sudden you slip into the VIP room by accident to see if they need any more. And you're...
What do sexual assault victims like? What quenches the thirst? Isn't that... But, like, if you compare this to somebody... Because you're talking about somebody who's, like... is, like, this asshole, gets away with it like that, doesn't even really hide it. Everybody knows it. Doesn't that make Bill Cosby look that much more f***ed up, where he came off as the complete opposite and did... I mean, I don't know how many times Diddy did this, but however many women he drugged and... Isn't that, like, a even weirder thing? Because at least Diddy, like,
No.
you know.
I think Cosby's is not as weird.
And he was probably sober when he did it, too.
Yeah, but Cosby's there's an illness because it's the same MO every time. Diddy's is not the same MO every time. He's did different things, scenarios, different events. Cosby's is a sickness because it was the same thing every time. So that's a worked out way of getting his jollies in, man.
Yeah.
So that to me that's
His jollies.
That's his
He's got
jollies.
his jollies in.
Got his jollies in. All right, some dates.
Some dates. It's called The Fall of Diddy. It's on HBO Max.
Should have been all the people are going to fall for it because of him.
God, that 90s run with Diddy and musically was just all about the Benjamins. Oh, that run he had musically was just, he was the king.
Yeah.
He was the king. To be in a nightclub in the 90s and a Diddy track came on, the dance floor was bananas.
Okay, I know we're touching back again with this, but you just said, his run. And who, everybody knew about his white party or his yacht party.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wanted to go to that.
Yeah.
There's not one person. People might say, no, they never wanted to go now, but I bet there's not one person that wouldn't have showed up to that party. Not one.
Yeah, and when you watch this and they talk about that period of time, it's like, dude, you also got to remember, it wasn't just the music. He was a culture. Sean John,
Yeah.
the clothes, the Ciroc, the music, he was a movement.
Yeah. I did have a friend that worked for him, by the way.
Did you?
I told you that. A white dude.
Oh.
He said he was the only white. I think he said he was the only white dude that worked at Bad Boy, and he goes, "Yeah, I didn't last. It was too much going on there for me."
Yeah, and I always said Diddy should always keep his sunglasses on because when he takes them off, he looks mildly.
When he was young, it didn't look as bad when he was younger. As he's aged, it's gotten a little worse. Okay, one night stands in let's see, Waterford Township, Michigan, March 20th through the 22nd. And then how about Cincinnati Funny Bone in Liberty Township, Ohio, which is Cincinnati, next to March 28th through the 29th. April 4th through April 6th, we're going to do a little San Jose improv. April 11th through the 13th, we're going to be at the Cleveland, just a bit outside Funny Bone. April 18th to the 20th, we're going to be at the Columbus Funny Bone in Columbus. Imagine that. April 25th to the 26th, we're going to do that Funny Bone again, but this time in Syracuse. May 2nd through the 3rd, that Toledo Funny Bone. May 8th through the 10th, we're going to be at Magooby's. It's a joke house, and that's in Maryland, the Baltimore area. It's Timonium, but it's Baltimore. May 16th through the 18th, we're going to be at Funny Bone in Richmond, Virginia. May 22nd through the 25th, Helium Comedy Club in Buffalo. That's up there at the top of New York. Anyway, that's the dates for right now. We'll give you some more dates on tomorrow's show. If you're in their area, come check us out. If you listen to the podcast, make sure you tell us if you come through that merch line or just dap up Aries and say, listen to the podcast. It makes us happy.
Robin, we must hit Gotham City and take out the latest villain. Who are you talking about, Batman? The Joker? The Penguin? Diddy the Diddler.
That's the show.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit spearsburgpod.com.